stop looking at the irony that the theme is called Beyond Boundaries, and then I was told not to move beyond this boundary. Uh, so, uh, so yeah, but my body can be here, but my mind can go, right? The mind can go beyond boundaries. And I think this is the story of my life. You know, I can be sitting in one place and being traveling all the 7 galaxies or how many ever there are, or create probably more galaxies that I want to travel in. But all of it probably started as a form of a defense mechanism in my life. Coming from a broken house, abusive, alcoholic father, mother had to jump from the first floor of the building and run away from the house. And then me and my younger brother were with my father, and my father's father, that is my grandfather, is actually a Mangalorean. He was a Bangera, and I stayed for a few years here in Udyavara in Udupi, and I think that is the place where I have my first memory of how a story can move you. I was watching this movie called Kalia. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie. It's with Amitabh Bachchan in it. And there's this very emotional sequence in it where Kader Khan, who plays Amitabh Bachchan's elder brother, loses his hand in a mill accident. And they are in such a dire scenario that Kader Khan's character, without his hands, has to pull a hand cart. And for some reason, seeing Kader Khan believing that he has no hands anymore, pulling the hand cart, and Amitabh Bachchan going and crying at him, I started crying. And I started crying, and I looked left and right, and my aunts and my step grandmother were watching the movie, and they were crying too. And I was like, what is this magic that is making us forget our pain and cry for someone else's pain? What is this trickery? And I thought that I want to be part of that trickery. And slowly and steadily I realized, because then my father passed away when I was 9 years old, and my mother had to go abroad to work, so my younger brother and me were put in orphanages, and we were brought up in orphanages there. And the mind automatically formed its own defense mechanism. You know, it started traveling to different planets, and when I used to just see a squirrel climb up a tree, I used to feel like writing a poem about why the squirrel is climbing the tree. I don't know why I wrote those poems, and that used to happen. In fact, I remember it. I was giving we were giving an exam, and I forgot about writing the answer in the answer paper. I started writing a poem about the squirrel in the back side of my question paper. And for some reason that made me happy. Then I remember, you know, I was a good, pretty decent student, but I used to always under my book keep a novel and read that. And I remember reading the 600-page unabridged version of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes in 4 days, finished it. And suddenly I felt like I'm Sherlock Holmes. And I'm roaming around the boarding, going to the dining area, and I see a seed, orange seed. And I'm trying to deduce that where did this seed come from? Oh, it was visiting Sunday yesterday. So someone's parents must have come and got that boy oranges. It must have come from the top dormitory, because that's the only orange seed. And I failed miserably. My deductions were not right. But I enjoyed doing that for a little while. Then I was in the sick room. I was sick and in the orphanage, and I was a voracious reader then. I wish I was as voracious today, but I was reading Bram Stoker's Dracula. It had a soft cover book cover, and it had a very innocuous looking, badly art work done cover page of Dracula, fluorescent face with some blood dropping off his lips. I'm like, this is not scary. And I read the book, finished the book. And the moment I finished the book and shut the book, suddenly that cover seemed scary to me. And I put it under the pillow and I didn't want to see it ever again. So the magic of stories, slowly started feeling it and I wanted it to be a part of my life. I didn't know how, when. And then I go to watch Jurassic Park with my uncle to the theater. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm just learning this in school that they're all extinct. How are they on screen? How are they roaming? How are they running? How are they real? And then I realized that there is this medium in which and through which, if you can imagine, then anything is possible on that screen. You are only limited by the boundaries you set in your imagination. Now I wanted to be a part of this storytelling world. I wanted to move people. I wanted people to cry when they watch my story, or not my story, the story that I wrote, or be entertained or engaged. But how am I going to do it? And didn't know how I am going to be a part of the storytelling world, be it through any medium. But I knew that I wanted to do something in the media. And traveling in those Bombay local trains, almost dying every day because you're stuck outside it and you're trying to hold onto the railing as hard as you can and hope that the station comes before your hands stop shivering and you fall down. And something more happened through movies. There's this one movie called Amrit with Rajesh Khanna in it. And there was this beautiful song in it. In Hindi it goes, इस दुनिया में कितना गम है, मेरा गम कितना कम है, लोगों का गम देखा तो मैं अपना गम भूल गया. To translate it very literally is that there's so much pain and suffering in the world that my pain and suffering is so less that when I saw other people's pain and sufferings, I forgot my own pain and suffering. And it all the more hardened my desire to tell stories, because when you're reading a book, you're so engrossed in it that you forget whatever is around you. Or when you're in the cinema theater, you're making a commitment to watch someone else's story. And there's no greater joy than that. And I didn't know if I ever get to experience that joy, but I'm lucky that I did. And then somehow got into the media business, and I worked with a very renowned production house. I won't take the name. And for 6 months, I felt like I was in jail. I had to sign the roster every day. If I'm not there at 10 o'clock, and only that 10:05 half day of my pay would go, they would give chai only twice a day, once at 10 o'clock. So 10:05 you don't get the chai, and at 5 o'clock. And you're like, when they want you to work till 12 o'clock in the night, you're working and you don't get overtime. And I'm like, 6 months, I'm going, I resigned. I was just getting out of that production house gate, and the HR person comes to me and says, Saiwyn, I heard you quit. What are you doing? You're making the biggest mistake of your life. You have a great future here. And I, like Amitabh Bachchan standing there, I said, my bright future is beyond this gate. I don't know what gave me the confidence to do that, but I was scared. I better make my movie now, or I'll have to go and join a call center because I don't have money. Luckily, that was the year 2011 when I became Amitabh Bachchan, Beyond the Gate. And June 2011, I started working on this story of a Manipuri boxer called Mary Kom. And I presented it to my director, who fell in love with that story and said, okay, let's go and get the rights of this lady. I said, okay, the dream's coming true. Wrote the script for 1 year, no producers. Like, oh, this is also part of the story. And you're like, I was all into that. Like, that is all I knew to do. And even today, I'm in that place where that is all I know to do. If you take my writing away, I think I'll be a beggar on the streets. Thankfully, Shweta will keep me at home, so I won't have to do that. But that is all I had. But that is when, all our speakers today spoke about universe conspiring if you are at it. And that is all we have, to be at it. 2012 London Olympics, for the first time, women's boxing is introduced. Mary Com's weight category is not there in the Olympics. Mary Com, this is the real Mary Com I'm talking about, has to increase her weight and punch above her weight to take part in the Olympics. In the qualifiers, she loses, but she lost to the eventual winner, so she got a wild card to the Olympics. In the Olympics, she loses the bronze medal match, but even the losing bronze medalists even the losing semi-finalists get a bronze medal. That day, we had 3 producers. After 1 year of writing, Mary Com, no one wanted to tell the story of a Manipuri woman boxer who's going to watch it. And that woman, who already by the time, by the way, was a 4 times world boxing champion. Already, but not known. And she goes and changes my life. So, a lot of people said, oh, what did Mary Com get after the movie? And I said, I don't know about what Mary Com got or not, but I got another movie after that. So, Mary Com, the movie comes out. I'm thrilled, excited. I started writing in 2011. The movie comes out in 2014. And before the release of the movie, I said, I'm going to cry my heart out the day I'm going to see my name written by Saiwyn Quadras. I go first day, first show, alone. Thought I'll enjoy it by myself. I see the name and nothing. I feel like a straw. I feel hollow. I don't feel anything. I go to my best friend's house after the first day, first show, so it was 11:30 a.m. I say, I need a drink. I have 2 drinks, and I say, I'm going to take a nap. And my friends are all looking at the reviews and positive reviews, and friends are messaging, Saiwyn, great job, blah, blah. I'm not interested in any of it. I don't know why. There was no joy in it. 4 days later, an NGO that works with underprivileged children called me and they said that they're booking a full screen of 500 seats and getting 500 destitute and underprivileged children to watch that movie. Would you like to come? I said, with pleasure. I was sitting on the steps. The kids were sitting on the seats. I was facing the kids and not the movie because I saw it many times, obviously. So I was watching the kids. And during the climax, the kids started jumping on their seat, biting their nails, and I started crying. And I cried. I still get goosebumps when I talk about that moment because I felt that they were me. I came from where they are coming from. If I could get to that point to be a writer of a film, they might 20 years later not remember the film, not remember. My name is anyways difficult to remember, so I'm not expecting that. Not remember the writer. But they remember this moment that they saw a movie, and that is when it spurned a thought in their head that they will rise above their circumstances, or they will take up sports, and 20 years later probably represent India in some sport. And that gave me joy. And from that moment on, I have felt nothing but joy. I went to a party, my friend introduced to another friend saying that this is Saiwyn, the writer of Mary Com, nice tall Sardarji guy, and he just hugs me. I'm like, okay, he enjoyed the film so much, that's fine. He says, no bro, I took my 4-year-old daughter to watch the movie just day before yesterday. Today she was playing in the garden, she was on the swing. And she fell down from the swing, and I went to pick her up. She got up, she dusted herself and said, don't worry, Papa, I'm Mary Com. And I am like, this is what I need to keep doing. My drop in the ocean where the story can go beyond boundaries and it can impact, may not impact, I do not know, but I just want to continue doing that. That happened through Nirja. A lot of my friends called after the movie, Saiwyn, what have you done? And they're still crying after the end, and they just felt compelled to call me and say, Saiwyn, you made us cry. I said, sorry, I promise I'll make you laugh in my next movie. And they all immediately called their parents, because in Bombay, a lot of people come leaving their parents in wherever from their cities and come and try to make it work as an actor or whatever. And they immediately called their parents and said, I love you, or I miss you. And again, that's something that's come through the work that I have done. What was my defense mechanism of just getting into imaginary worlds? Now people get to be a part of that story and watch it. And in a way, it's a power trip, right? That I am sitting with those people, watching the movie, seeing that they're engaged in the movie, and they're crying at the movie. I know at which moment they're going to start crying, at which moment they're going to start sniffling. And I'm like, oh, they don't even know that I have written this script. I'm like, wow, this is cool. This is like being the remote control behind the power. I went and sat for all the screenings of Nirja, and none of them facing the screen. I'm sitting sideways looking at the audience. And I know they, abhi na gala choke hone wala hai. Abhi they're going to start sniffling. Now they're going to start crying. And the first time when I watched the edit of Nirja, I was watching it like an audience. And I had to remind myself that I have written that film. So it's that joy that once you get it out there into the world, then it's not yours anymore. But you can take a little pride at the fact that you have contributed. And if my life story and the boundaries that the circumstances set for me probably wouldn't have allowed me to become a writer or fulfill my dream. But probably I never allowed those boundaries to be my boundaries. Or probably my self-defense mechanism kind of helped me see beyond that boundary. And now that has become my strength. So I won't say non-educated guy, but a guy who doesn't have a college degree and stuff like that is here on this platform today. You guys are better off. Tomorrow this stage is yours. And that's my story. Thank you guys.
Bring 'em up, back, back.